Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for the Misfit Podcast, episode 18. Before we get rolling on today's topic, we are going to tell you about some of our cool new things we have going on. First is training camp at Pillar CrossFit, January 8th through the 10th. That is in San Antonio, Texas. Obviously, one of our well-traveled areas. Make sure that if you're looking to get to a camp in Texas in the next 3 to 5 months that you get to the one in San Antonio, because the CrossFit Games season is coming up and we won't be traveling as much. Same goes for anyone looking in the Northeast. We get a lot of emails about whether we're going to be in New York or New Jersey or Pennsylvania. We are in Pennsylvania at CrossFit Ephrata, which, as far as I know, is just outside of Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We're there January 29th through February 1st. We have some pretty big plans for camps in 2016. Less camps, bigger camps, new curriculum, all kinds of good stuff like that. So if you would like to host a camp, make sure you jump on there, because we're only going to be taking a few different areas into consideration, and that's just the host a camp link online. What you got for us, Sherb?
Some exciting new things in the apparel department. Coming soon to the store is going to be our new short. I know every year everyone asks us when the new short's going to be released. I know my remote training clients have asked me probably 50 times each, when is a new short being dropped. So we're going to preview those today.
This is like a hot hip-hop album. Like,
Hold it!
Our shorts are like Dr. Dre's. So Sherb's doing the full Monty for you guys right now.
Just in black? That's the only color
we
have?
also got them in gray.
What?
Any excuse to take my pants off.
Get up, old man.
You almost just pulled your shorts down, too.
That could have
Hanging.
gotten funky. We'd have to censor it on YouTube.
So those are coming soon. Keep your eye on the store for those.
Misfitgear.com.
Gabe, what you got for us?
We do have one special camp coming up in 2016. So we have an open prep camp. It's going to be at CrossFit Clue in Somerset, New Jersey. Clue is probably, other than here at Misfit HQ, one of the coolest CrossFit places you could visit. It's going to be February 12th and 13th, and there are going to be a ton of regionals and games athletes there. It's going to be a lot like our other camps as far as the coaching, but you get to work out with a bunch of badass athletes. So
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, pretty rare opportunity to get to a place where you still get coaching, from us, but you also get to, get in there and work out. Basically, the entire time you're going to be working out with, regionals and games athletes from all over the country. So if you've ever wondered what that's like, how hard you can push, get yourself to that camp. Same thing, misfitgear.com. You'll be able to sign up for that pretty soon.
Gonna throw it down to me or what, Gabe?
you have something to say?
I do.
All right, let's hear it.
We have mock regionals coming up, which we've already announced, but we're still waiting on more of you to sign up, because we know how long it takes you guys to get your butt moving. So, starts on the 18th of December. Last day of registration is the 17th. You cannot sign up once we're already going, so make sure you get in there and sign up as soon as you can. We will run from the 18th through the 20th. You'll get a couple workouts each day, just like regionals. You'll have a couple on Friday, a couple on Saturday, a couple on Sunday. This year we're actually going way above and beyond with the scoring system compared to what we've done in years past, where we've sat around in a circle and done hand scoring and handed out attaboys to people. This year we actually have some decent cash prizes. So $500 to the top man and woman after the weekend's over, along with over $2,000 worth of other gear, prizes, things like that we'll be sending out to top finishers. So if you sign up, you got a pretty good shot of winning something if you're good at fitness. Yeah, and you could sign up at misfitmockregionals.com and also submit your scores there. So anything else, Ted, for that? Okay.
Cool. So episode 18, what's it about? We get a lot of questions about this topic, and the answers are a little bit too long for our frequently asked questions video, so we decided to sit down and kind of hash it out for a little while. And the question is recovery. And I think that across the board here, we are of the mind that if someone approaches us and says, I'm overtrained, our answer back to them is usually you're under recovering. You know, the stuff that's going on outside of the gym is not lending a helping hand to what's going on inside the gym. So Gabe's going to get it started here, and you know, it's just going to turn into a kind of a back and forth conversation with all of us. But what we're hoping is to get information out there to say this is the type of lifestyle that you need to lead if you want to make it, you know, to the level, you know, that, you know, that Travis Williams or Cody Mooney or an Alexis Johnson, so-and-so are on, you know, what it really takes to get there.
So if somebody comes to me and asks about recovery, a lot of times my remote coaching clients come to me and say, hey, you know, I'm feeling really beat up, works, you know, the training's getting to me. The first question I always ask them is, how's your sleep? And me personally, I have a pretty good experience with this because I just recently had another baby and I get very little sleep.
Does that hurt?
Oh yeah, terrible. But I made it. So I've got a 4-month-old that keeps me up.
Is that a Gabe joke?
Just
threw a Gabe joke out
say
there.
we're pregnant.
You
Oh, are you, bro?
see, that's definitely a dad joke.
That is a dad joke if you ever
Hey,
seen
it got
one.
laughs. Okay?
I laughed.
I don't care if they're laughing with me or at me.
So, anyway, to me, sleep is. I mean, all these topics are very important, but regardless of what you're doing, if you're not sleeping, you are not recovering. As far as sleep goes, we know that that's when your CNS is going to recover. That's when, depending on your nutrition, you will basically grow. Protein synthesis occurs, things like that. So if you're not sleeping and if you're not sleeping soundly, there's no way that you're going to be recovered to come in and hit another day really hard. You're going to start to see it slowly decline. As far as, you know, what you're able to do. It may be a strength piece that you feel not 100% at. It may be a Metcon. But if it happens over and over again that you're not getting good sleep, it's not going to...
What is good sleep?
So
Beat me to it.
I'm fast. Some things.
So there are a lot of ways that you can, I mean, I guess that depends on people, because there are definitely certain people that can thrive on somewhere between 6 and 7 hours of sleep. Generally, on average, it's more closer to the 8 hours of sleep that you're looking at. It really depends on quality of sleep, though. So if you don't know about your quality of sleep, you definitely need to get a sleep tracker. There's definitely a lot of cheap options, something you can, you know, use on your phone, something you can wear on your wrist that can measure your sleep and the quality of sleep. But if you're getting, I mean, I don't know any information that shows if you're getting less than 6 hours of sleep, that's sufficient. Well, for the high-level activity that you're doing, the recovery that is needed to come in and do that day after day. How many hours of sleep do you get a night, Sherb?
On average, close to 8. I try to get more than that in the days I'm available to do that. But when we get to my topic in a little while, we'll talk about recovering. Being able to get good sleep is definitely dependent on being able to sort of relax your body and get yourself ready to sleep, because you can't go to sleep after, you know, hitting one of the Misfit bitch work pieces. And
Mitch work. I like
Mitch work.
that shortening of it.
There you go.
Mitch work.
One of those pieces and trying to get right to sleep, it's not easy. So having a routine is what I've heard a lot of times for people getting ready to sleep, is you find, you know, either read a book or have a cup of tea or something that gets you, you know, down-regulated, so to speak, so that you can get to sleep earlier and faster. It will definitely help you get those 8 or 9 hours, because a lot of us have lives where we just can't afford to sleep 10, 15 hours, like JJ Watt, who just basically works out and sleeps in the off-season. So
What about someone like me who falls asleep to TV almost every night?
that's not the best.
What?
Best,
So-
yeah, definitely
Why?
the best way to do it.
But why?
A couple different things. The stimulus definitely keeps you your brain active more often, and you have the blue light from the TV, which is never something you want before bed.
Oh.
So they sell things like, you know, see Drew wear them on the road sometimes, these terrible orange glasses that looks like he's going to work construction, that helps him sleep better because it gets the blue light out of his eyes earlier.
We sent Jordan. Well, we sent everybody the orange glasses in one of their care packages last year. The
Should've brought
sponsored
mine in.
athletes, and Jordan goes out to train with the Progenics crew, and I get a text from Chris at Progenics that says, "Why is Jordan sitting in my living room looking like he's about to trim the hedges?" And that's why. But I mean, if especially Travis, out of all people, like if you can convince Travis that something like that is working, and he's actually sitting, like when he stayed with my parents when he came up here, he was watching TV in their living room in his orange glasses. I mean, it's silly. You look stupid, but it works.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard from anybody that actually, because I recommend that all the time, and I myself did it. And as soon as I started using those, my quality of sleep got better, and obviously until I had another kid. But I mean, it's very obvious that you get better sleep, you feel better when you wake up, when you do things like that, when you downregulate. So I haven't actually heard anybody say, "Oh, that doesn't work."
Do you guys personally, like the athletes, have a way come on, have a way that you're like a metric that you're using to measure whether A, that's helping your quality of sleep in some measurable way, or B, a way that you can see like a physical change due to any changes you make just getting better sleep?
I definitely use the I think it's Sweet Beat heart rate recovery or heart rate variability app that lets me know if I'm recovering properly, and I can't directly attribute it to sleep alone, but I can definitely tell if I'm like on the road, for example, if we're at a Misfit camp or whatnot, or just traveling. Because we get odd hours of getting up and flying places, that my recovery isn't as good on the road as it is at home, where I can do my normal routine and go to bed and get my 8 to 8.5 hours of sleep every night. So I definitely can tell the difference using that app that I've decreased the quality of my sleep or decreased the quality of my recovery. And I think sleep has a big role.
I'm pretty old school because I'm old and just how it goes. So I basically listen to my body a little bit more rather than rely on that. If I wake up and I feel refreshed, recharged, I feel alert.
When was the last time that happened?
Yeah, not recently. Then I know that that I got quality sleep. Usually that would happen when I do have some sort of routine. I started doing some raw mod before bed, wearing the blue light blocking glasses, things like that. But I mean, if I wake up and I'm not refreshed, not recharged, not ready to hit the day, I know like, okay, there's something wrong with my sleep. It's a pretty immediate feedback when you wake up, like right first thing in the morning. So,
I mean, I think it's important. You can't just say like, make sure you get quality sleep and then sort of leave it at that. Like, there are people that spend 8 to 10 hours a day in bed and don't get shit for good sleep. Like stuff like having the TV on, stuff like, if you live in a city or something like that, keeping your windows open and having lights come in, through the blinds.
Or noise, for that matter, too.
Dogs, whatever you want to call it. Like making your room like a sleep, like a place for sleep only is the best way. I mean, you can just think about, all the different stuff that you do in your room.
Whoa. Like what, Drew? Tell us more.
Whoa, hold on. So, you shouldn't be doing anything in your room, really. I mean, there's two things you should be doing in your room.
So you're saying I need a separate room in my house for that activity?
No. There's two things you should be doing in your room. One of them is sleeping, okay? But there shouldn't be anything else other than those two things. Shouldn't be anything else going on because that's stimulus for your brain that puts some sort of like temptation there, even when you're trying to fall asleep. It might be subconscious, but making when you go into your room about sleep most of the time is really the way that you can get quality sleep. And for people that use like the sleep mask, they've done tests on those and they don't work that well because your skin has photoreceptors as well. So your body can tell when there's light. It doesn't matter. You'd have to be completely under the covers with them pulled up over your head and your sleep mask on for that to work. So
No, I definitely noticed that when I moved into my new house, my fiance, that as soon as she told me I couldn't have a TV or a computer or anything in bed with me, I slept so much better because I wasn't watching TV to go to bed. Because I used to be the biggest culprit. I'd leave the TV on till like 4 in the morning, wake up, like, it's still on, click it off, and then fall back asleep. So
does she actually make you get up and go to the bathroom instead of on the wall by the bed?
No.
We got some.
I got a jug.
Some Misfit inside jokes here.
I got a jug.
Floating around.
That just happened.
I liked it.
Whatever.
So, I think we did a pretty good job there of starting the kind of the base of the recovery pyramid. other than the pee situation.
Other than the pee? Wait, it doesn't help?
We did a pretty good job of covering that. So sleep went first on purpose. It's kind of the base of the situation. You can do all the other things right, but if you don't get quality sleep, it's going to be really hard for your body to recover. What do you do when you're awake for your lifestyle, Matt? Like what, I mean, you have down, you want to talk about post-workout, but
it can be like a whole day kind of thing too.
I mean, what goes into your day that makes your stuff outside of the gym be recovery based?
I just think about everything. I've heard this saying before, that everything you do outside the gym needs to help what you do inside the gym, or you're not going to have the success you want. So, silly things like waking up in the morning and making sure I get plenty of water in my body first thing in the day, so that my, digestive system works the way it's supposed to, and I feel hydrated so I can train during the day is important. I guess the basis of my topic was going to be directly after training or slowly after training, the things I do to kind of get me ready for the following day of training. The first thing I, kind of goes back to what Gabe said about I said about downregulating about getting ready for sleeping, is that after you train, you've, accelerated your heart rate, you've stimulated your adrenal glands.
You're stressed.
Yeah, you just basically stress your body out. You've got cortisol flowing in your veins. You're trying to get yourself back to homeostasis as soon as you can so that you can perform well the next day. If you're staying chronically stressed and you're trying to fall asleep with that same stress, you don't fall asleep soon enough. Next thing you know, you're not getting that quality sleep. So things that I've been told to do and I've done, with my other athletes, I tell them you need to spend time every day cooling down. So on my programming every single day, I have 20 minutes dedicated after every single after every single training day to sit on the bike or go for a walk. I don't really go for walks anymore, even though I enjoy it way more than the bike because it's not as warm out here anymore. But sit on the bike for 20 minutes at a nice conversational pace, kind of have my shake, shoot the shit with whoever's there, talk about how the workout was or what's going on in their lives, or if it's before affiliate class, like talking with members as I'm cooling down to kind of get my body back to what feels like normal. And then I spend a lot of time mobilizing, getting myself ready to train the next day, because I'm not as old as Gabe, but I feel like I'm more broken than Gabe is, if that's possible. I don't know. Different areas, I guess. You're upper body and I'm lower body. But so I spend a lot of time, and one thing that's really worked immensely for me is ROMWOD. I do that 5-6 days a week, sometimes every day of the week. And I find that putting that in my day, either before or after my training, just kind of like they say, it doesn't really matter when you get it in as long as you get some of that recovery in, and it seems to be helping me quite a bit. So I definitely think that's a huge part of your training, is making sure that your joints and, you just do your daily maintenance so that things don't act up down the road.
How much of the benefit from ROMWOD?
It's rubbing off, bro.
Do you think
Misfit gear?
Do you think is from the stretching, and how much of it do you think is taking time out of your day to calm down and kind of stay within yourself, not be talking, not be doing all these different things? I mean, where do you think that balance is?
I find that the stretching definitely needs to be something daily for me, because I immediately tighten up if I don't move around. But I think a big part of the ROMWOD is learning to relax. Like, you go into one of their poses for, sometimes they do it for like 90 seconds. You don't really feel the same benefit as those ones that go 3 to 5 minutes. And I think a lot of that isn't, your body didn't all of a sudden become more flexible. You're just learning how to relax better, which is something you need to be able to do on a daily basis. I know people like Arnold talk about meditating all the time because it helped him kind of calm down from training and let him live his life, not thinking about always, lifting weights all the time. So I think that downregulating is huge for just allowing you to have that balance between the training and the rest of your life that allows you to train hard the next time. What do you think about that, Seth?
I think that you spent a lot of time thinking about that, and you have a good answer. How about that?
Happy with that.
All right.
Gold star.
Yeah.
So can you do that close to bedtime? Can you downregulate? Can you train and downregulate in enough time, I guess?
My new schedule allows me to do that a little better. I used to coach the 6 a.m. affiliate class at CrossFit MF Wyndham, our other affiliate. And I found that trying to get out of here at, class ends, or last class ends at 8, but it ends up being like 8:30, trying to rush home, stuff dinner in my face as fast as I can, which is usually not a problem for me. But then cooling down and just relaxing, it needed to be like watching TV or, just talking to my fiance about it, just life and how the day went. But next thing I know, it's 10:30 and it's, shit, I have to go to bed because I got to be up in 5.5, 6 hours. That sucks. But I'm finding with a little more ability to sleep in and I try to take my time at the end of classes now, while I'm watching the end of affiliate class, try to like just, it sounds silly, but like breathe deep and relax just some, because coaching is supposed to be an upbeat process. I enjoy coaching. I love being a part of the affiliate. I like giving lots of energy, but you definitely feel like sometimes coming down after coaching is coming down from a workout. You need to like relax a little bit because you put all that energy in, and it's time to like chill out and get ready for bed. So I think having routines.
So for
now,
people that are still in the predicament that you were in, what did you do at the end of the day to downregulate, like specifically?
So one thing I found that seemed to help me a lot, and I think I talked to you about it, was getting magnesium. I found that like putting magnesium, like they have Natural Calm, which is just supposed to be a natural relaxant. Take that magnesium, help me sleep a little better, and I try to, like, it's hard for me because I don't like to do it, but to eat slowly, which is not something I do very well. But it helps relax you because you're not supposed to shove food in your face as fast as you can, like I do. You're supposed to eat it like
you're supposed to digest your food.
You're supposed to chew it before you
What?
swallow it, which I kind of skip usually. But a lot of that was just trying to like slow myself down and like not be as stressed about my day and just kind of relax a little bit, because it's not easy to go have a full-time job and wife, kids, and all that, and then try to go to sleep and jump into the next day. It doesn't work that well. I mean, you probably can speak more to having the wife and kids part of it, but definitely need to be able to come down to relax, because if you're stressed out or you're not, you're too upbeat when you go to bed, you're going to lay in bed and be restless for an hour or two. And like Drew said, you can go to bed for 10 hours and not really get.
I wanted to ask one more question to Matt.
Keep going. I'll just jump into mine in a second.
You talk about down regulation, and I think you said you wanted to talk more immediate post workout. I know that you probably do this. Well, you definitely do this a lot better than I do. But every time we do a Metcon interval piece, whatever, the first thing that you do is go and get on the assault bike and pedal really, really, really slowly for a given amount of time. Can you kind of explain that? What's the purpose behind that? What that helps do? Because I know for me, like sometimes I squeeze in a piece and I have to go and pick up my kid from school or something like that. When I do that versus when I sit on the bike and kind of cool down, get my heart rate down, whatever, there's a huge difference in how I feel the next day.
So riding on the bike is important for a few things. One, it kind of allows new blood to flush to your legs. So, for example, you just did a set of heavy back squats, and then you did a front squat, chest to bar piece, and your legs are tired, just smoked from both of those things combined. Getting on the bike helps you flush out the waste out of your legs. So when you exercise, you essentially create small amounts of damage in your muscle tissue, and getting on the bike and getting them moving allows new blood to flush into the area and kind of re-oxygenates the area, and allows for nutrients that you ingest in your body to kind of go to those areas and help you repair and rebuild, so the next time that you train that you sort of enhance your recovery, as opposed to just jump in your Jeep and head out of here.
Is that how people get invisible lat syndrome?
I mean, no. Do I have that?
Maybe.
I might.
So what's a good rule for that? I mean, generally, like till your heart rate comes down. Like
I usually just go for. I think. I mean, I do it for 20 minutes. I honestly, I'm not really certain the exact time around it. Sometimes I feel like after 4 minutes, I'm like, this sucks. I don't want to sit on the bike anymore. But usually I try to dedicate at least 10 minutes, if not 20. I think it's a good way to just kind of come back down to earth, so to speak. After working out, sometimes you lay on the ground and you're, questioning why you do this stuff at all. But I think it's an important part of your day to sit on that bike and flush your legs out. And it's not uncommon to come on a rest day and see, Austin or anybody else just kind of sitting on the bike for half hour, 45 minutes just to get themselves moving, because, a lot of us don't feel very good when we take a total day off. So I think just that flush is important for, recovery.
One thing I wanted to bring up before we move on to the next topic is, for the longest time, the highest level of mobility in affiliates was a foam roller. So it's like everybody get in, like warm up is row 500, 5 minutes of foam rolling, something along those lines. And although that can help move some stuff around, it also is a huge stimulant to, getting your central nervous system where you want it to be when you're recovering. It makes you sleepy. It releases, hormones that get you in the kind of mood to want to go to sleep and not necessarily to want to, do a back squat or something along those lines. So foam rolling is still important. That myofascial work is still important. Doesn't matter what tool you're using, But one thing that you can do is you can kill two birds with one stone, get that work done, and down regulate at the same time. So if you can, lacrosse ball, mobility ball, foam roller, whatever, really try to calm yourself down before you go to bed and work through that stuff, you're actually creating a situation with your biology where your body thinks it's time to relax and go to bed. So if you're one of those people that's kind of starved for time, that can be a way that you can both get mobility work and down regulate at the same time.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think it's neurotransmitter dopamine that helps you relax after, or no, serotonin, excuse me. Serotonin that helps you relax.
Which is precursor to melatonin.
Yeah, so it's something I actually do myself as I have a foam roller, and I also have one of those Acupressure mats. I don't know if you can find one on Amazon, but they're like $10. It's just a mat, like a foam mat that has little plastic, like almost pin cushion type of thing that you lay on that helps you relax. And
pin cushion?
Pin cushion? I don't know how else would you
describe it. Isn't the pin cushion what you put the pins in? Not necessarily the pins.
A cushion with pins on it. Whatever. It has those things.
I'm going to go with a no on that one.
All right, so what would you say instead?
They look like the spikes on golf shoes.
All right, so you're laying on a bed of golf shoes.
Sounds awesome.
But it's a good way to...
Don't put pins in it.
So the mat is designed to help you relax because it increases blood flow to your back that you're laying on. But it's also a really good way to kind of down regulate too.
Cool. Okay, so my topic is not so sciencey. It's more like learning how to make good decisions for yourself.
Not into that.
Well, most athletes aren't, and that's why we're going to talk about it. So there's a difference between being tough and being stupid when it comes to training. And I don't think that many people on their own, except for the high level games athletes, high-end regionals athletes, make these decisions correctly on the regular. Because what we see is in our sport this increase of volume all the time and got to do more because what's the next guy doing next to me? How many pieces are they doing? And at a certain point, there's lots of information about this out there now. At a certain point, we get diminishing returns. So if you do one piece a day at high intensity, you get X amount return based on, number of factors. You do two pieces, that returns a little less. You do three pieces, a little less. And at a certain point, depending on each athlete, you're going to plateau. And then at a certain point, you're going to start regressing. And taking the time to really pay attention to your results, not just reporting them, not just to your coach, not just writing them down in a journal and saying, 6 months ago I had this score in a workout and now 6 months later I PR. But actually feeling out each and every day, making the decision each and every day about what's that line that's too much for you. We had the good time of driving to Montreal together, and on the way we listened to a book called The Sports Gene. And you remember what they talked about regarding we have the difference in people that can adapt really quickly to short duration or small amounts of volume, and you have people that need a lot more to adapt to get the same sort of stimulus or the same results. And in CrossFit now, we actually have the perfect sport to truly test that in almost all facets of physicality, because we have weightlifting, we have sprinting, we have gymnastics, we have a little bit of everything. And as an athlete on your own, if you're not taking the time to realize what you need to work on and how much you actually need to do to get your stimulus to make progress, but then still be able to recover to do it again, that's the problem. So what I think we see a lot of are people that are doing too much and then under recovering. And as coaches, where do you guys start to draw the line on your athletes, or how do you start to figure out, okay, this person needs only 2 pieces a day to make their progress. Otherwise, I give them 4 and I make them do it. They're too beat up. They can't keep going for the rest of the week.
So a lot of what I look at is just capacity in certain pieces. So when the pieces that are written for the blog are scaled for all the athletes, I have a score or a time in mind for these athletes. And if someone's way off the mark, like, for example, we have 13.3 today, for example. If we have the wall ball double under muscle up workout, someone struggles to get through all the wall balls. I'm like, all right, well, either I should have scaled the wall ball weight back, or I just gave you too many things and you did the 13-3 at the end of your day. I probably shouldn't give you that many pieces. It's a lot of it's just dictated on past experience with that athlete and how they perform. I like to start all my athletes out with a light prescription in terms of volume, because if you give them too much too soon, like you said, you diminish returns. Cool, you did 10 pieces in one day, but you didn't get the adaptation you could have got if you had just done 2.
And then how does that affect the rest of the training week? Even if you bumped it down to 2 pieces the next day, you beat them up the first day,
they don't recover. So it's more of a week-by-week basis. I try to keep a communication open with all my athletes to ask them, hey, how are you feeling? Are you feeling stressed? Get enough, like Gabe said, get enough sleep? Are you eating well enough? How do you feel? I just try to get inside their head and ask them how they're feeling each day. And I use that as a template kind of in my mind. How many pieces can they do appropriately and with good intensity? If they're doing the extra pieces and not seeing what I'm looking for, all right, now you're down to 2 today, or down to 3 today. It's hard to make it a day-by-day basis for something like that, where I can change and say, all right, tomorrow you're only going to do 2. You've kind of already done the damage. So,
but is that the wrong thing to do? Is that if you have dealt them the damage per se, and they've done 4 pieces, and it's like, I can't walk down the stairs today, how do you, as part of recovery, get them back in the gym? Because we would all agree, I think the worst thing you could do is stay out of the gym and not do anything. So how do you then start that recovery process while still encouraging training?
So I suggest always, when someone feels like that, I always tell them to go in the gym first and kind of move around first before you decide, like, nope, this is going to be a total rest day for me. I tell them to get in the gym and move around. Most of what I suggest is very similar to my post-workout flush. Get on the bike or get on the rower for 15 to 30 minutes and sit on that thing and see how you feel at the end. If you get up and you start to feel like, oh, my joints are warm now, I don't feel as terrible, then maybe we can jump into a piece. But worst case scenario, I say you hop up on the bike and you feel still like trash after that. Hey, your day's done for today. Move on. You're not going to lose all your fitness in one day. Like,
right.
If you take one day off, you're not going to come back tomorrow and be like you were on day 1 in the gym. It's sometimes it's hard on the ego to say, no, I'm not going to train today, or I'm not healthy enough today to train. But it makes more sense to do that than it is to push through it in most cases and kind of just see what happens. See what sticks after being really beat up.
I'm pretty similar to that. I usually, like, if my athlete comes to me and says that, I say, hey, go warm up, go move around, dictate kind of what they're going to do. And then, depending on how you feel, you can hit the training day or not. I think it's important that if that happens once, for me, it's okay, I really need to look at this very carefully.
Right.
Was it the volume? Was it because he did 4 pieces or she did 4 pieces? Or, and then I'll ask the other questions. Was it sleep? Is it stress? Is it, that time of school year where you're doing finals and things like that? So, really pinpointing that, because when I look at it, and I actually made a comment to one of my athletes via text, like they said, hey, I want to, like, my back's tight, like I'm tired, I feel like I've been going pretty hard. Can I take this piece off? And I said, yeah, you get 1 per cycle. And it was a joke, but really it's like, if you're doing that more than once, then there's something probably habitual, or like something going wrong. So you really you need to pinpoint that, I think.
And I guess I'd be curious for yourself as an athlete too, because you have one of the most hectic schedules, being doing this, coaching at the gyms, 2 very little children. You're in and out of this place all the time, and you have to kind of piecemeal your stuff together best you can. And I've seen many days where you had to just draw the line, say, nope, this piece isn't worth doing for whatever reason. How do you make that decision? Where do you draw the line as far as, like, this isn't worth it?
That was really hard to do, actually, because at first with my schedule change and just increased responsibility everywhere else, basically all I did was add stress to myself, because I thought, okay, here are the required pieces, these are the mandatory pieces, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And almost every day I would, for time reasons or for I couldn't recover in between pieces, I was missing a piece. And so literally I started regressing, because on top of not training fully, I was adding all that stress, so I wasn't recovering. Now, I kind of give myself a certain time So I have probably an hour and a half in an earlier part of the day, and then somewhere between an hour and a half later in the day. And I just have to plan my pieces, accordingly. And I know, like, now I don't stress over not doing all the mandatory pieces. I look at a day and it has 4 pieces that are going to take me 3 hours total. I say, okay, I don't have 3 hours. I have 2 hours. I'm going to hit these 3 most important pieces, and I'm going to hit them really hard. And honestly, since I've been doing that, I've started to see myself kind of getting back in the right direction. Some of my strength numbers are starting to go back up. Honestly, like any day coming in here, I'd look at any given piece, stuff that I was good at, and I'd be like, oh man, this is going to be so hard before I even started it. And I knew that was because I wasn't really ready to take it on. And now I feel like I'm able to push a little bit more just because knocking one piece off, knocking an hour off of, that has gone a long way. So,
and would you say that if you kind of forced the other pieces or piece into your day that that you wouldn't be able to do, that you would probably regress on the whole training day and have to kind of back down other pieces to be able to fit them in or rush in between, and B, do you think that you'd be too under recovered to do whatever you need to do the rest of the day and the next day?
Yep, both
Okay,
for sure. I definitely. When I was trying to squeeze everything in, I was even when I was doing a certain piece, I would often be thinking about an unrelated piece, like, oh man, this is like, I'm getting really tired here. There's no way I'm going to be able to do the next piece or whatever, and I'd still try to do that piece, knowing that I wasn't 100%. And then I'd wake up the next day and like, oh shit, I feel like I did a 3-day competition and I did 1 training day.
right.
So
I'm glad you just said that, actually, because that's my next point. Everyone doing a lot of local competitions, or even participating in mock regionals coming up. Athletes may not realize it, but they usually push a lot harder when there's something on the line, something at stake. And whether that's, like I said, the same workouts they've seen in training in a competition or an online competition, or maybe they just went and trained with other people at a different gym that they didn't normally work out with, and in the back of their head they're trying to show off a little bit. That normally takes a much larger toll on somebody, even with the same amount of volume, because you're pushing that much harder under those circumstances. Do you think that there's room for people to back down some amount of time after a stretch of 2 to 4 days of competing or outside training or something like that? Or how would you work an athlete back into their normal regimen right after a competition's done?
The question I always ask my athletes is, is kind of what the purpose of the competition is. I have athletes that do a lot more competitions than others. So, and then I also have the athletes that do a local competition and then stress out about missing pieces. I think it's good to go out there and test yourself and get that intensity, that extra intensity. But you definitely have to be willing to 1, to prep for that weekend, and 2, to recover well from that weekend. And so I really pay close attention on that first day back. I always recommend after the competition, the week more than a day competition, really spend a full day recovering. So I'm going to add in like a mandatory 20 to 30 minute recovery bike, or something like that. And a lot of times I dictate their mobility, things like that, and then pay close attention on that first actual training day. Some competitions though, like all my athletes send me, this is what the workouts are or whatever. I look at it and I'm like, oh, it's a 1-day competition, it's a team competition,
sure,
or whatever. That's a training day. Like, you don't need to ramp up. You don't need to, it's just treat it like a normal training day. So kind of depends on the level of the athlete, kind of depends on the demands of the competition. I basically tell, and how our program works, and being very, very progressive, I tell people that there's room for you to kind of test yourself. But if you're doing it all the time, and we're constantly modifying the program, you're not going to see the results that you need to.
And I guess the reason I bring it up is there's such a wide spectrum of athletes that not only we coach, but that just follow on their own, that don't have coaches, that kind of ask themselves that question all the time. Okay, I just competed this weekend. I'm going to miss a piece on Monday. Is everything going to be okay? Yeah, of course it is, because of the priority of getting back, being recovered, and being able to hit things hard again. 2 examples I have without using names. One does competitions probably 4 or 5 a year outside of the open, regionals, games, all that stuff. And when that person is done, they literally don't want to work out for a week. They feel so destroyed. They don't want to get out of bed. They don't want to do anything. They tell you that they're done CrossFitting. They're ruined. And at the competition themselves, they perform way better than you see their numbers in training. They're just gamers. They're there. And you have to work with them super slow, building them back up to the volume you had them in just from like a 2 or 3 day competition in a weekend. Versus another athlete that I coach in the same time who would compete at the CrossFit Games and then start training again the next season that night as soon as the games wraps up, like if you would let them. So, and usually with minimal impact, they can continue to go and continue to work. So there's such a wide variety of the way people respond to volume training, things like that, that if you don't really start to understand what that line is and what that level is for yourself, you'll continually put yourself in a situation where you're not able to get any better. And like you were saying, you kept pushing it, trying to stuff everything into your day because you thought that was the way to do it, and then you started to regress. And I think we see that more often than we'd like to admit with athletes that are asking, why didn't I PR my squat? Why did my open time go down, 30 reps from last year? Well, it's not that you got less fit, it's that at the moment you've put yourself into a corner that you haven't been able to dig yourself out of yet. So that's just really important, I think, in my mind, for each person to make self-assessment on top of what their coach says about them. Because you have people all the time, it's like, oh, you're just being a pussy, go do the piece. Well, maybe not. Maybe they actually are out of energy. Maybe they actually are out of mental focus, toughness, whatever it is, and you're just hurting the athlete, or they're hurting themselves more so than getting anything out of it.
I mean, I think that's a good point, and being willing to, even if you're not completely taking that day off, being willing to adjust your expectations in training, or even to modify a piece. There are certain times where we have a piece that's a high volume piece, and it's basically designed to find your capacity. It's really it's a lot of reps on a given movement. If you just come off a competition and you're kind of hurting from it, then you have no business doing that. The athlete that you speak of that would go right from the games into training the next day, I notice when they post on the blog. I notice when they come off of a competition.
You know who I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
Talking about me.
And so this may be a direct message to that person, but you see that their numbers on the blog, and because obviously this is a person that everybody wants to compare their numbers to, and you see, oh, hey, I beat this guy today. That happens for like 3 days, and then
he's worked out for 2 months straight.
Yeah,
every day.
And then you see,
right.
And then you see when he's recovered, because he's does everything in half the time of everybody else.
Right.
Oh, hey, there he is again. So I mean, just being willing to adjust your expectations, because I think it's okay to know that you're not going to go in and win the blog on a piece that you normally would.
Can't win the blog, Gabe. It's not a thing.
You can. Yeah, you definitely can.
People try.
But you can still train. There's still, training with a little bit more recovery focus, or with lower expectations, lowering some of the reps or something like that. You can still get a lot out of that.
For me, my metric is almost always mood. I know that I'm in a kind of a different situation. I'm about 90% of the guys that I coach are regionals, games level athletes. So the nuts and bolts of it is easy. They're high responders to the training because they're freak athletes, and they're high responders to coaching tips because they obviously do things fairly right. But I have the same problems with them. So, where do you go in these situations? How do you have that metric that says, are they overtraining? Are they under recovering? Whatever. And for me, because I am also friends with them, it is very easy for me to tell when one piece of the puzzle is missing, and it's time to, put a magnifying glass on everything. They get stressed out. They complain about stuff that they don't normally complain about. And you can tell that there is an issue and it needs to be addressed. And the first place that I start is with volume. Just make sure that either, nothing, the end of the world's not going to end, take a rest day, or if it's, after the season, it's take literally a month and, let me know when you need pieces. Let me know when you want to ride them yourself. Let me know when you want to take a day off and go to the beach. There are people that need that. So in my situation, I've found that mood is a huge indicator of when it's time to really look long and hard at what's going on. And, you don't need us as remote coaches to have someone like that in your life. You just need to have someone around that's going to tell you, like, you just screamed at me for spilling a water by accident. Maybe you need to take your shit down a level.
It's your fault.
Holy smokes. Cam.
Wow.
Sorry.
Yeah, so
First.
I guess I'll just wrap up this topic by just saying don't be afraid to kind of listen to your body. There's so many things that it will tell you. The mood you're in, the way you feel, how tired you are. We just talked about sleep. How sore you are. If you are to the point where, you just did 150 wall balls in a workout, and normally it's not messing you up, but this time you did it and now you feel like you can't really even walk normally. Like, what's going on? Is it the workout? Is it something outside? Listen to your body, like really pay attention to that. A lot of athletes are still trying to just out-train those signals instead of figuring out what's going on within themselves. And you ready to jump into food? Because I think that could be part of it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of the disclaimer before we get started on this is we get asked questions enough times that we get kind of forced to give our opinion on it. And nutrition's definitely one of those avenues. What we can't do is sit here, maybe roll the whiteboard over and write down the Misfit diet plan. It doesn't exist because everyone's different.
Ciders and chips.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't want to know that. You wouldn't want to know that diet. So that's kind of the disclaimer here. Like, this is not a nutrition lecture. This is what signs are there? What can you do to recover? How do you make your nutrition line up with where it needs to be? The first thing, and this isn't some sort of like product placement or anything like that. Whey protein is one of the most scientifically proven supplements there is. Most of the like really good supplements don't cost that much money. Whey protein, in terms of, if you think about it as like meal replacement, that kind of thing, it's not that expensive. You guys, I'm sure, do you ever miss a shake within an hour of training? No. Okay. The whole 30-minute window thing has been proven to be true and proven not to be true by different people. So take that for what you want. I mean, I'd say the window's more along the lines of like 90 minutes. Just get something in your body. One cool thing is your body absorbs the water a lot better when it's with whey protein. That's one study that's been proven quite a few times. So when you are drinking a protein shake, getting a bunch of water at the same time, it's not going to come flying right out of you. You're actually going to absorb it and be able to downregulate a little bit more. So in terms of nutrition itself, you guys don't need the list of what's healthy. Some people by now in our community know the answer to that question. They try to pretend like they don't because they want to eat other things. But for the most part, I would say that people understand the difference between the beef that looks hot pink in the store and grass-fed beef.
Some hot pink meat.
Yummy.
People understand the difference between canned vegetables and something you can buy down the street at a farm. The list goes on and on throughout in terms of quality of food. So when you have used all of this other stuff that we're talking about, you've got everything dialed in, and it's time to put the magnifying glass because you're not recovering on your diet. You have to look at it in two different ways. So you have the people that just eat like shit, and their body eventually just can't handle it. Your immune system lives in your gut. You continually do this to yourself, and you are going to get sick. You're not going to be able to recover. Doesn't really matter who you are. There might be 5 people in the CrossFit community that can eat whatever the hell they want and still do really well. But I think you'd find that if you saw them eating like on, a day-to-day basis when they're not traveling and stressed out, they're probably eating real food. They're probably sitting down and every once in a while and having steak and a baked potato or some shit like that. So if you're on that side, it really just is about cleaning up your diet. And again, do you guys agree people know what they should be eating versus what they shouldn't be eating if it's just black and white like that?
It's very simple.
It's very simple. So let's go to the other end of the spectrum, and this is actually a big issue in the CrossFit community, is the people that eat too healthy. The people that their life is completely transformed by these paleo challenges and these like restriction diets, and they're fantastic for health, but then they get in such good shape and they get themselves to a place they didn't know existed, and they start training high volume and they start competing, and it becomes almost a detriment.
I'm going to ask if Ted can flash a picture of me, an old picture of me, because that's exactly
Paleo
me from
Gabe?
I
think don't we all have a photo?
I
I
have
think
it
all
for you.
4 of us have our paleo photos, which, if there's ever a Misfit GQ like cover shoot,
I want gluten. I want gluten Drew, not paleo Drew. on the
oh
cover.
God, yeah.
Gluten Drew.
That I've taken many forms in the last 5 to 10 years. So let's go, you go to that end, and it's a pretty simple fix. I mean, not going from super healthy to not healthy that's not what we're asking you to do. What you need to do is get a pretty high amount of carbohydrates that are some form of glucose. So potatoes, white rice, things along those lines. If you're just absolutely trashing your body of its glycogen stores, and then you're not feeding yourself what it takes to get back to those levels, it's really hard to do high volume. I mean, the endurance people have to do this. Strength people have to do this. I don't know if gymnasts have to do it, but I'm sure their training's pretty rough.
I'm sure they do.
You're doing all of that. And if you're eating a quarter of a sweet potato, or, your broccoli is your carbohydrate, or heaven forbid your protein.
Slice of apple.
Yeah, if you're doing that,
Easy.
it's not going to work. So you've kind of got these both sides here, and there's all kinds of offshoots from that. I'm the guy that can't gain weight. Are you really willing to, like, we bought one of Joe Carney's perks as being a sponsored athlete was a rice cooker. I literally bought him a rice cooker and sent it to him because he kept saying how he couldn't cook rice in his dorm last year. So he gets a rice cooker and sends me pictures of these mountains of food, these disgusting mountains of food.
Food mountain.
That he can barely choke down, but he did it. He's lifting weights. He's eating rice. He's getting bigger, gaining weight. Like the whole
Still won't tell him it's big.
drink coconut milk until you shit your pants is not, kind of the old like add fat. Newsflash, that doesn't work. I've tried it many times. Not so good. Pound the carbs and you will gain weight. Absolutely. So, I know for a lot of people, they want that lesson plan that this is what you eat at this time of day. But it's just so much different for different people. And, a perfect scenario, you would be training, you would be winding up your training towards the end of the day. You would save your glucose sources for the night. But to be perfectly honest, there are some people that train so hard and are so small that they can't get enough in that window before they go to bed. That, Matt was talking about how stressful that couple-hour window is. People like that, sorry to the carb backloaders out there, but they might need to get rice, potatoes, that kind of thing during lunch.
Joe, don't watch this.
So,
It's too late.
again, without going too deep into it, these guys call me science bitch all the time, make fun of me.
Nerd.
It's really just important to take a full step back with every single one of these topics, because there's a pretty good chance you knew a lot of this stuff going into it. You just weren't addressing it. And I mean, all of our athletes are on this level in terms of living the lifestyle outside of the gym. Kind of wrapping up, the common theme that we hope people are taking from the whole conversation is when you are not training, you need to be back into that rest, digest, nervous system really actually recovering. So you can sleep, obviously, to get there. That's the major one. But down regulating post-workout and before you go to bed is huge. And then, I mean, there's plenty of science to back exactly what Seth is talking about. I mean, overtraining or overstress, you can have all these other things figured out, and that will ruin the whole game plan. And then again, when it comes back around to it, just take a good, honest look at the way that you're eating, figure out if you're under-eating, figure out if you're overeating, figure out if, one thing that's very specific, but I think was big for Gabe is he had a large part of his diet was a really healthy food, but it was causing an autoimmune response, and he had to cut it out of his diet. So he had, it was knee, elbow, and wrist pain, right? And
I found out it was from tomatoes, nightshades. So stopped eating those, and hey, feel good.
I mean, he literally would not train for long periods of time. He was getting the prolotherapy, right, in the wrist, the cortisone, all these different things. Well, turns out that his body was attacking his immune system because it thought that the same protein that's whatever, helping the cartilage and the connective tissue and all this stuff in those areas was actually the same style of protein that was coming into his bloodstream because of the tomatoes. So there are little things like that, and blood work can help, test retest can help, but I really think a lot of people can figure this out on their own if they are truly honest and can use their determination to get to regionals or the games as motivation to clean everything up.
Can you give people a way to get started on this? Like, okay, I hear what you're saying. What's my next step? How do I start? What do I assess? What am I looking at?
Okay, so I would say that there are two things, and these need to, unfortunately, we've still got some time, but these things should happen in more of a lower volume setting. So some sort of reset where you dial your nutrition back to a very basic place. Meat, vegetables, less nightshades, potatoes, peppers, tomatoes, that kind of thing. Give yourself a set period of time and try to figure out how you feel with and without these foods. So the reset thing is really big for us, and we change a lot of lives with it, on the affiliate level. But I mean, if they're trying to get better at Fran and you're trying to win the CrossFit Games, then you need to multiply their efforts by, forever. And I know that it's awesome to eat Ben and Jerry's or whatever you're supposed to do on Instagram, but if you do this, just pick a time during the year to start over. You will find how those things are bothering you. And then the quick, easy fix costs money, so you can get blood testing done, and there's a really awesome company, I believe it's either Cyrex or Cybex. They do the lab testing where if you have those antibodies and the autoimmune response going on in your body, it's going to be able to tell. So that's a blood test, and that translates back, we get asked at almost every training camp, what should I take for supplements? I don't know, get your blood work done and find out what you don't have going on in your body, because again, everyone's different, and supplements, if you added up the money you spend on supplements at the end of the year, it would be a lot higher than the couple $100 you'd spend on a blood test. So
Cyrex, CYREX.
So the easiest place to do this stuff is if there's a functional medicine practitioner in somewhere in your area. A lot of times they work at like a chiropractic office or something along those lines, and I think there's a directory online if you search for it. But you can also just go right to one of the labs, Nordex or any of those places, and get your blood work done and buy the kit online, and they'll mail it directly to them. And that's a really good place to start. There's DNA testing that you can do at 23andme.com. I think they just increased the price, but they
$200.
So, but now the 99 that you used to spend got you no information. It was just like, your snap is AJ72365. And for me, it was fun to look it up. But for someone that's like, bro, I just want to know the answers to these questions, now they're allowed to give you that information again. They kind of, when they started, were like, hey, you're going to get cancer. And the government didn't like that. So now they're dialing it back a little bit. And they're like, you are more susceptible to these things. So there's kind of a gray area that I found. But you can do that. That'll give you a lot of information on, whether you should be drinking a lot of caffeine, whether, you can digest dairy. There's a lot of resources. And if you don't have any money, good old test and retest is the best way to go. Get yourself a reset. Maybe we can throw up on the website at some point, the reset we use at our affiliate. Put yourself through it for, it only takes 3 weeks. It's not too bad, especially if you have other people doing it with you. And find out what works for you. It's not going to be the same as the person that's with you. I think that's what most people are hung up on in nutrition, is they think that, my thing's going to work for you and your thing's going to work for me. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. We're from different places and have had different stuff going on. Some people have had antibiotics, some haven't. There's a really long list here. And then for those people that are like, I really don't know what's healthy, I have no idea, come find me at regionals or a camp or a competition, and you buy me a drink, and I'll give you a good 10 minutes of science bitch talk.
Buy my beer.
Cider.
Yeah, I think you answered it. You answered my question.
Cool. Anything else, guys? Kind of a mindset, right?
It is.
Your whole life needs to be focused on if your goal is to truly compete at regionals or the CrossFit Games, you need to have that lifestyle be.
Doesn't that sound stressful, though? Isn't the point the opposite? Like, if you guys can really figure this out, your life will be more fun. It will be better. If you can find a way to bring all this stuff into your life and chill out when you're not training, you will enjoy training more. You'll enjoy not training more.
It's hard not to stress about not stressing out.
It's hard not to. I mean, no matter what, it's our nature to be stressed about something. It doesn't matter how good your life is, you're going to find stress. So it's about how you manage that stress and the things you do to keep a positive energy, I guess you would just say, and have that mindset. So yeah, it's totally. It's 24 hours a day.
Yep. And one of the biggest things when you study this stuff, looking back, acknowledgement of stress is one of the biggest first steps that you have. You might not be able to get rid of it, but if you know it's there's a pretty good chance you're not going to freak out about it as much. So
find a way to deal with it.
Yep.
Stress is normal. Okay. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Until next time. You can like, subscribe, follow.
Sign up for mock regionals. Training camps.
Shorts. Yeah. Thanks. Those are words that mean something, Ted, to a lot of people.
Yeah, if you made it from the front to the back, you got it, and we're proud of you.
That's right.